Welcome back to T0 Endurance Webinar Series.
Wow.
We need one of these days, don't we?
Yeah, let's do it.
I got a great guest. We're just gonna have a good conversation today. Stef, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. It's I actually can't stop smiling because I know that we're just going to have a chat and have some fun, and I think that's what we all need right now.
It is what we all need. There's that need to just have some stupid conversation, and who better to do it?
Hey, ease up. Like
I was talking about me first, you know.
Yeah.
Well, my guest, you know, everybody should know who my guest is. Stef from What's Up. You do a podcast, you have TV on YouTube. You are a champion for women in triathlon, and it is so awesome to have you on today.
Thank you so much. Before I need to say as well, though, while I appear to be the face of What's Up, which I mean, slim pickings, right? There's such a good team who helped me do what we're doing. So I need to make sure that they give that they get the props that they deserve as well.
Oh, totally understand. That's you know, this pretty face doesn't sell everything at T0. So, so what have you been up to? I mean, we had you on for the Real Mothers of Triathlon. We had a great interview with you. You kept getting, you know, you had your food, your tea, your coffee was delivered to you. How do you do that?
I'm not stupid. I married smart. I was single for a long, long time, and it was because I was waiting until I found the perfect man who would feed me for the rest of my life. You know,
I love it. It was a perfect combination because it was like, you know, Mother's Day event, and here you are just getting your coffee and your tea, and it was just fantastic. It's
funny because Brett will say to me, you know, what can I do to help in terms of What's Up? And he's a chef. He isn't a journalist, a writer. He's not creative. He doesn't know social media or technology. So in terms of actually presenting anything through What's Up, not his bag, but by him being, and we sort of coined a term with What's Up, the supportive dude. He is the ultimate supportive dude. If I didn't have him feeding me and looking after me, I wouldn't be able to dedicate the amount of time that I do to What's Up. So that is a help, like above all else, really.
When are those shirts coming out? You gotta have
we've already got them.
Supportive dude?
Mate. Although we haven't, I'm okay. We'll talk. We're actually launching our shop this week, so it is on there. We'll make sure.
I need a supportive dude shirt.
I want you in your fireman kit though, with the supportive dude.
Done. We'll
awesome.
sell tons of those shirts.
Totally.
At least a dozen.
A dozen's a ton, right?
Yeah, something like that. So last weekend, you know, we did that, the Real Mothers of Triathlon, and I want you to just give us an idea of how important it is to have those kind of role models like Rinny and MBK in the sport, just showing, like, I mean, they went 5 hours and they go, we're going to just do a training ride and a run. They were averaging like 24, 25 miles an hour. And then they go on the run course and they're dropping people. I mean, it was unreal. Meredith was going so fast. She's like, I can't talk to you now, Rob.
Yeah.
How important is it to have those people?
So it's so important. Can I quickly tell you a story about Meredith Kessler, who does a training ride? Yeah. So quite a few years ago in Kona, this was back when I was doing a lot of filming just on a GoPro. So I would meet up with pro athletes and ride next to them on a push bike, and film them. So one day I'd filmed Liz Blatchford for 2 hours, also a mum now, Caroline Steffen for 2 hours, also a mum now. Yep. And then I was catching up with Meredith. Now, she was at the end of the day and she's like, yeah, we're just doing an easy ride. You can come out and do some filming, take some photos. Cool. You know, I'm starting to get a little bit tired by now. Her easy ride, I was down on the bars and I've just got like the GoPro pretty much just in between my fingers, gripping to dear life, because her easy ride was, I couldn't even tell you how many watts. such a battle, and I was in the hurt locker. I don't think I worked the next day because she absolutely punished me. Now this was in Kona, so obviously they're at their fittest, but it was meant to be an easy session. So
she's getting ready for the World Championships.
every day she'll just have at it. I don't think she not so great with the off switch. But anyway, back to sorry.
This is going to be all about squirrels today, isn't it?
Totally. I love it because the more you talk, you're more like, oh my god, I've got a story. Oh my god, this story. Yeah.
That's the best part.
Yeah. I'm quite a fan of a tangent, as you're well aware. But, why are we here? What do we do? Oh, Mother's Day. Sorry.
I wasn't going to prompt you because I don't want to insult.
Yeah. That's never stopped you before.
No, that's true.
Who even are you?
Yeah.
The importance of role models such as Rinny and Meredith. Look, those two are such incredible women, regardless of being mothers or not. I've looked up to them well before they were mums, well before I was a mum, and then throwing children into the mix as well. Just I don't want to say adds another level. It adds another layer. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't make them, they're a new level, but it's another, it's another layer.
It's almost like another cape on their back as a superhero.
Yeah,
they
totally.
get 2 capes instead of 1.
Yeah, like greedy, a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Superman doesn't even have that.
Exactly. But yeah, it's I think one of the most important things, particularly with those two, is that they do their best to keep it real as well. So it's really hard, I guess, from a social media point of view, to really portray what happens behind the scenes. And while it looks great that they're both in there, I'm going to say Master Spas. Was it Master Spas?
Yeah, it was Master Spas.
Yep.
Good.
And they're having fun and they're racing and, and they're doing it for good cause to try and inspire people. But there is so much work behind the scenes, especially with small humans, as you know, that just for them to do the actual session, but also help promote it and, bounce back over emails, like that's time consuming. And then just to find the brain space to, because some days I'm just like, I cannot make one more decision today. I sat on Uber Eats the other day, like poor me, Uber Eats the other day, just going, I actually don't know what I want for lunch. I can't.
You've got a chef in the house.
Yeah, he was out.
Oh, I was going to say you'd text him instead of Uber Eats.
Yeah, I should have. He was on his bike. He could have picked something up for me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you because it's there's so many things. These pros in the light of racing. They see, you won, you lost, post-race interviews, which are really not ever that in depth. It's like, oh, well, how was your run? Well, I put one foot in front of the other, and I was excited to get across the finish line in the first place. The other guy was right behind me. It's like, who cares,
Yeah. Triathlon won on the day.
Yeah. Well, my bike was great. I pedaled Bob, and I got some water at the water station. It's like, okay, it's boring. But it's like, these people are so, I love the way you put it, so many layers, because that's truly what makes, I think, the sport great, is because there's so many, like Meredith. Meredith was in investment banking before she got to be a pro triathlete. Rinny, if she wasn't 5'3", would be Sue Bird in the WNBA.
Totally.
And you look at all these different, you look at, a lot of the men on the men's side. There was some pro triathletes that were volleyball players before then. A lot of people don't see this personalities. How important is that when you're interviewing somebody to really not dive in deep to get the scoop, but to show their personality?
So that's what I really use the podcast platform for, is really trying to show the person behind the athlete for a couple of reasons. I think people find it fascinating. I think that there's just so many more stories to tell. And also, I don't know, particularly, I guess I've spoken to a lot of recently retired athletes or athletes who are on the verge of retirement. in the last couple of years, and just noticing their struggle from the identity of being a professional triathlete and then to what now. And I think it's really important to show that, yep, they're elite, they're professional triathletes, they're incredible specimens, but at the end of the day, they're human beings as well. And what makes them tick, and not just trying to win Kona, or like I just believe that there's just more to tell of those stories, and there's more that drives them. And that could be their kids, that they want to show to them that mum or dad can be can get back up again when the going gets tough, which that's a life lesson. That's not particularly just a triathlon lesson. Or what kind of human being do they want to be in 20 years? What do they want people to remember about them once triathlon's gone? So I don't know, like this. I just think there's so many things that make these people tick. And you could talk to anyone in the street. I love meeting strangers and hearing their story. It's one of my favorite things in the world. Throw me in a room of people I don't know, and I love finding out about them. It's just that we've got a platform, and these people, we all know, but we want to know a bit more about. And I feel like I've got the vehicle to be able to tell those stories.
Oh yeah, and it was funny. I had a webinar, I think it was last week, with Belinda Granger, and I went on one of yours, and it was funny because she said, 10 years after I retire, I want to somehow be still involved in triathlon. And I was like, Belinda, do you remember saying this? She's like, no, I have no idea. I'm guessing you guys were having wine while you were on here.
Yeah, it's her podcast. She was actually in Melbourne. So not only were we drinking wine, Brett had cooked for us as well.
She is one of the funniest people. Great interview. Interview.
When we launched Wits Up, she was the first person I asked to be an ambassador for us for a very good reason. Everyone, I think she's the poster child for hard work pays off. She'll tell you in a heartbeat that she wasn't so much talented, but she worked so hard for a long time. And she came from the age group ranks and then became a professional triathlete, and learned a lot about the sport, knows a lot about people within the sport. And she's a pisser. Do you know what I mean when I say a pisser?
No, I don't.
That's an Aussie thing. Like, she's a crack up. She's hilarious. You're a pisser, mate.
When I went to Ironman New Zealand, it was hilarious. So I was in Ironman New Zealand, and what did they say? Now I'm gonna forget what they said. It'll have to come back to me. Yeah. That was a really good story, doesn't it?
Tell it again.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember if only Will was on the podcast, because it was something that they say to individuals, like okay. What do they say that? How do they say okay?
In New Zealand,
I can't remember what it is, but it was something. It was something odd, and like I kept going, like, why would they say that to me? And then eventually I figured out what it was, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, I get what you're saying. But for the longest time, I mean, when you travel, you just don't know the little lingo.
Absolutely. Meredith and I have a constant joke. She says it a lot, and it's a big thing in the States, from what I understand, is people will cheer and say, "We're rooting for you," but rooting in Australia means a very different thing.
It's kind of like backpacking or fanny pack in London. Yeah. You just don't say that. I learned that when I worked at Walt Disney World. I was a lifeguard, and we had those things, and they're like, never refer to it as a fanny pack. It's like, oh, why? I was like, no, I regretted asking that question, but
I could see how that would go.
Oh yeah, exactly. Now, the other thing that I wanted to go over with you, because I think a lot of people don't understand how, like, they see pro athletes, right? They see like a basketball, NBA, and all these other athletes, and they say, that triathletes, they're getting paid to do this. And really, they're hustling. They've got to hustle so bad to just get a little money from sponsors, and then they got to race to get the rest of the money that they need. People don't realize that they don't just get paid flat out.
Yeah, I feel like people view it that these pro triathletes are living the dream, and they are, in that they love what they do. But I may have even said this to you the other day. I think the key is, as a pro triathlete, you kind of have to love what you do, because it is a massive hustle. If you're, say top 5%, maybe 10%, and I'm just throwing random numbers out here, but if you're not in that group, it is a hard slog. It's we're all like I'm a pro triathlete. It's tough for me here at the top.
Yeah, top five. I mean, bottom five.
Yeah.
Not even bottom five. I'm like bottom one.
Yeah, you go bottom one because last person across the finishing line at an iron distance gets the most cheers.
Oh yeah, especially when you're so delirious you can't even hear them.
Yeah. Yep.
I had that conversation with Rennie at the World Championships in 2012 when I went there.
Yeah.
And I finished, and like the last mile, I actually have no recollection of. And even the finish line, I have no recollection of. And the next morning, we had breakfast with Tio and Rennie for the Team Chocolate Milk. Mm. And she's like, "Oh, it's so great to see you at the finish line." And I go, "Yeah."
Anyone get that on camera?
Yeah. Oh, you were there. Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming down.
Yeah. Oh goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. So back to what you were saying with the pro triathletes and the money.
Yeah, it's funny because I was chatting. I just did a podcast which comes out tomorrow, I think, with Emma Fredito. Okay. And we are both obsessed with the Michael Jordan Chicago Bulls Last Dance documentary on Netflix. It's so good. The stories that they tell, but the way they tell the stories, I think, from a production value is amazing. I love it. But then, you're listening to these stories, and we can't compare because they're two very different sports. But when you look at these elite basketballers, professional basketballers, and what they're getting paid, often just to sit on the bench, it is like athletes wouldn't earn that in their entire career. And I think that was one of the driving factors for me. Not that I ever thought that I would completely change the prize money or sponsorship deals for athletes, but I wanted to at least help give professional women a platform so that it would open up potential opportunities. Because my whole thought process when I began this whole thing was they're just the most incredible, men and women, just the most incredible athletes on the planet. How can they not be, at the forefront of the sporting world? And there's different reasons, but I still think that. Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because you look at the race and having done a few Ironmans and half Ironmans, like it's so long, and I think that, that it lends itself, like these athletes are so amazing. It's kind of one of those things where you look at it and they go, they get it done in 8 or 9 hours and you go, oh, that's not, they make it look ezy. And so everybody looks at it and they go, well, it's not that hard,
Yeah, true.
How do you even change? How would you change that in the sport to be able to make it look hard so that the normal person who's not going to ever do it looks at it and goes, all right, pay them. Yeah.
Well, so I think one of the biggest things is, and you touched on it straight away when you're looking at full distance triathlons, is that it's a 8-9 hour event for the professionals. And that's hard to get people to sit down and watch for that period of time.
Right.
That's not going to change. Like you can bring in great shows, everything, and that's good. We want that. But at the end of the day, it's still going to be 8 to 9 hours. If we're just looking at, say, Kona, for example, the Ironman World Champs. But what I think is missing, and I from what I understand, the PTO, the Professional Triathletes Organization, and stuff that you're trying to do as well, are trying to create those stories that will bring in the interest from within the sport, but outside of the sport as well. And I look back to, when I was getting involved in it, I would jump on YouTube and be looking for clips, like, now I've just completely gone. But like, say your sister Madonna Buter, I'd just look up clips about her all the time. And then it's just, 3, 4, 5-minute clips that are just out there creating these stories that you don't need to necessarily sit down and watch an entire race, but look for those stories, look for those rivalries. Over the years, the Mark Allens and the Dave Scott kind of rivalries, people still talk about those. We need to be creating all those kind of stories. And if you go to something like your NBA, a lot of the stories in this documentary that we're watching are about those relationships, the Michael Jordan versus Isaiah Thomas.
Very good. Yeah. The Pistons.
Yeah. Yeah. Scottie
Pippen.
The
relationships within it,
totally. And that's what I think we need to get better at working on within our sport.
Yeah, I love that, because that you hit on it, and you're going to be a part of this too, but getting everybody together and having it in one place, because, when you watch the NBA, it's NBA on NBC or TNT, it's not the NBA on USA, Discovery Channel, and all these other things. You want to put everything in the same place, because that's when you're going to start to get those people that are going to be attracted to the different levels of pros. And I think, I having done a few interviews myself, it's like the personalities are awesome.
It's
just they don't have a platform to be able to, besides for yourself or some other podcasts that are out there like Babbittville, they don't have an avenue to be able to put it out there. And that's the one big thing that I think, that's great that you're being able to do that on your end. Now, do you have like different ideas that you're going to be, that are in the mix that down the road, once we're out of quarantine, that you're going to throw at us?
I've always got ideas. That's part of my problem is that I'm always like, ooh, let's do this. Ooh, bright shiny light. Ooh, let's do that. And that's part of my problem, is that I have too many ideas and not enough time in the day. So I guess the biggest thing that I'm learning from the position that we're in at the moment with COVID is, I guess, prioritizing the different things and figuring out, what makes me tick, like what drives me, what's motivating me in terms of what's up. But then also what are some of the smarter decisions? I will come up with an idea and go and spend time on it. And then I'm like, all right, well, I had a bit of fun, but really, was that probably the best use of my time? Maybe not, but I wanted to do it. So, okay, so I'm learning to try and, I guess, juggle those sort of ideas and opportunities a little bit better. Yeah. I can't tell you what any of the ideas are. Because
I know.
No. Oh,
I'll sign an NDA.
Yeah. On live now. Yeah. No, more just because you think of the whiteboard as a vision of my head and it's just scribbles everywhere. So I need to try and condense that and bring it into some kind of order before I start putting stuff out there. But we're rolling things out as we go, and this is a good time to sort of test some things, see what bites you get. Particularly, I guess, there's just so much out there at the moment because everyone's stuck indoors. So, we're seeing more podcasts pop up, more interviews, because everyone's forced to do things a certain way. And that's fine. But then that makes me go, all right, well, there's a lot of noise out there. What do we need to be doing to break through the noise? And what's my goal with Wits Up? I don't want to just survive. I want to make a difference. And now I'm in the process of what does that look like in the near future?
Right. And I think it's interesting because you look at the landscape, like you said, now there's so many voices out there right now, and there's so many people doing things. Once we get back into the racing season, those will all go away, and they'll still be your voice. And I think that's the consistency. And I think people, if you want to go to her site and find out more, whatsup.com. Your store is going to be open when?
This week.
Cross my fingers this week.
Yeah, it's pretty much ready to go. Just finding time to hit go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Who do you have coming up on your podcast soon?
So tomorrow, Emma Frodeno, hers is coming out. Then we've got Jackie Herring, who I can't remember off the top of my head, but we've already recorded that. We've actually just done a mini series about the healthy body, which is a look and a bit of a deep dive into looking at body image, eating disorders and disordered eating. And we've done that in conjunction with the Inside Try show, which is Helen Murray, who is fantastic. So yeah, we've spoken to men and women about that, and it's turned out fantastic. And it's just a conversation that I think we need to constantly have, particularly in sport like ours. So we've got that coming up, and then my whiteboard's just up to the side here. I've got some other people.
It's just out of the screen, so nobody could see it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, there's lots of people who I want to talk to. Yeah, it's the thing I'm finding quite interesting at the moment is timing when to publish what things, because of so much out there, and so we were meant to publish that healthy body quite a few weeks ago, but we just thought it wasn't quite the right timing with everyone in the heightened state that they were in, with COVID. So things have settled down a little bit now, which is why we thought, this is a good time to have a conversation about something different and something that is very prevalent, whether there's COVID or not. So let's keep the conversation going. Yeah. But that certainly plays a role in deciding on publishing certain things, is thinking about people's state of mind and emotions and stuff at the moment.
Yeah, and that's a lot of things that we talk about, is that keeping people excited, keeping people focused as they're looking and they're seeing all the races being pushed to the fall and going, well, will those even happen? Have you, what is one of the things that you can tell those people, because you've been around the sport, you've talked to a lot of people. What would you say to those people that are looking at their first race and going, it's not going to happen. Should I even do it?
Oh, God, it's such a good question. And I sort of flip-flop on it myself. From being a triathlete who hasn't raced in a while, so can I really call myself a triathlete? But sure, once a triathlete, always a triathlete, right?
I call myself a world record holder, and I got beat, so.
Wah, wah, wah. But I guess Wits Up's in kind of a similar sort of frame of mind, because we would like to plan what we're going to do depending on real life races, but then you kind of can't plan so much, because I don't want to put a whole lot of time and effort into planning something if it's just going to move again. So we're kind of just trying to, I guess, keep the pedals moving, keep things ticking away without doing the intense bursts of planning for particular races. So, and I just figure that should be pretty similar to athletes as well. I guess I get it. People, like, how much do we thrive on triathlon and love the lifestyle, and we use it for our own mental health as well as the physical side of things. So I get it. People need something to work for. So I guess my biggest thing is that, and what we're trying to sort of create through Wits Up, is to, take the foot off the gas a little bit, use this time to work on those perhaps weaknesses that you've got that we never want to work on, because who wants to work on weaknesses, right? They're not fun. Right. I want to go and smash the bike because that's what I'm good at.
Exactly.
So, maybe make those your smaller goals for now. Racing will definitely happen. Sure, we don't know when, but I don't know. Like I used to be. I'm still intense. Let's be honest, but I used to be super, super intense years ago, and I was all triathlon training, racing. Was all encompassing. I actually got sick quite a few years ago with hormonal issues and chronic fatigue and adrenal fatigue, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. It was horrible. But it prepared me for what we're going through right now. definitely. I think it also prepared me for when I was pregnant and couldn't do what I normally wanted to do. And mentally, I think it prepared me for that. But the reason I was talking about it is it made me realize that it is sometimes important to take those breaks when we're forced to. So whether that force be, for me a few years ago, it was my body forcing me to stop, even though my mind kept saying, I've got to go, I've got to do this, got to do that. And maybe this is out of our control. So trying, and it's so hard, and
especially for triathletes.
Mate, totally. And I say all this, and every second day I'm in tears of frustration trying to do this and that, and right. So I get it, but I have to just keep reminding myself that control your controllables, and be okay with just sitting in the moment. I think that's a valuable lesson that every single triathlete should learn, regardless of COVID, yes. Because we do have this tendency to take things and carry it and go flat out all the time. I
like that. I like that. Control the controllables. That's my dad always said that. And it was one of those things where you look at situations and exactly like you said, when you're out on the bike course or run course or swim, you need to be able to control what you can control. You can't control the weather. You can't control the person that just punched you in the face during the swim. The person that peed on their bike and it spicked back in your face. I mean, all those things suck.
Do you know, I can't remember if it was my first or second Ironman Western Australia. I peed on the bike. This guy rode up next to me and is like, how did you do that? I've been trying to pee on the bike for ages. And I'm like, dude, personal space. Like, it's one of those things that you don't talk about, right? Even though I'm talking about it now. But I was like, oh my God.
How did you do that? Well, way back when I was in elementary school, I learned this. I mean, come on now. It is a unique sport, and there's a lot of things that go on during the triathlon that never would happen in real world. I mean, no. Oh, it's unreal. It's unreal, some of those things. But yeah, I've never peed on the bike. You haven't? Do you want me to teach you how to? Maybe we'll have a YouTube video for this, that educational component. Bring that in. I wonder if it is actually harder for guys to do it. I don't know. Like we're getting into some dangerous territory here. Yeah, it is. I feel the rope from underneath my feet slipping out. I love it. But you know what? It has been such a pleasure having you on today, and it was good to laugh and smile because we all need that. And definitely, I know that there's a lot of great things in the future, and definitely we have some things in mind for you as well. And awesome. on my whiteboard, you can't see it either. Actually, with the green, whatever. But if you want to find out more and listen to some amazing podcasts, you also have some television programs that are on there. What's up? WITSUP.com. You can go there. There's going to be a store. As soon as she can press go, there's going to be a store that's going to be available. Great gear, great person. Stef, thank you so much for coming on today. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it, Rob. You look after yourself. I will. Thanks again. All right. Thanks. We'll see who's up next. Go to iwishIwasracing.com and we'll find out who's coming up next. But until then, thanks for stopping by.